Good afternoon, everyone. This is Atul Dhi from the EU-India Technical Cooperation Project. I think we are all set for 3 p.m. and we should start the webinar for the day. I'm joined by the Technical Director, Mr. Saji K. Abraham with me, and we have Mr. Vishal, who is the Senior Programmer at NIC, who is handling the SPIN portal. So I could see that we already have around 40 participants already joined us, and we have more participants coming in. So this is the second webinar, so maybe there are some attendees who have joining this webinar for the first time, and maybe there are a few attendees who have already joined our first webinar and they are coming back with their queries and they would like to have some solutions for the webinar integration process. So to start with, I'll brief you about this tool, the Zoom tool which we are using for this webinar, so that you are able to send your queries. We've already received a lot of questions from various stakeholders regarding the SPIN integration process. So you will find a Q&A section on the bottom of your screens. I will request that please use this particular feature only to send in the questions, so that we are able to note that and we'd like to clarify it during the webinar. Please don't use any other means on the tool like polls or the chat box. Only use the Q&A section to share your questions so that we can cater them. Otherwise, there would be, if there are many questions that we are not able to solve them by this 1 hour, we'll try to have them included in our FNQ document, the health document which MNRE and NIC has already circulated with you. We like to update that with the questions and give the answers on the same. So to start with, let me just give you a brief, because I can see there are a lot of attendees who are joining this webinar for the first time. So let me just give a brief about what exactly is SPIN portal and what are the reasons why we are integrating it. SPIN portal is basically a national database of grid-connected rooftop solar developed by National Informatics Center for Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. This is operational since more than 3 years now and has the database of all the rooftop solar installations across India. This portal can be accessed on the domain as www.solarrooftop.gov.in. As I said, this is a national database of only grid-connected rooftop solar installations. So because this particular tool is a national database, this is also utilized by the Ministry for Capacity Sanction and Approval Management. At the end of the projects, the submission of the completion reports in the form of project completion reports are also submitted on the same portal. And the portal is also utilized for managing the central financial assistance, the subsidy, and the incentives to be distributed. So for this particular area, what we're talking about today, the phase 2 of the rooftop solar scheme, this particular tool is really important and actually a mandate. So this particular tool will cater to things. This will help you to submit the project completion reports for the subsidy based, the CFA based projects, which is the component A of the operational guidelines, and also help you to submit the project completion reports of non-subsidy based projects, which is the component B, for which the Discoms will get the incentives on the completion. The integration, why it is needed is because it is a mandatory process. The integration is as a mandate from the ministry that all the rooftop solar portals which will be running under the phase 2 program of Discoms, they will have to be integrated with the SPIN portal for a seamless data and information submission. It will also help you to submit instant PCRs, which was not possible earlier. So it will help you to submit instant PCRs on the as and when the project is completed. As it is an anti-interface, also it reduces rework for the physical paperwork submission. So you need not to submit the documents again and again or in a physical format. As and when the project is completed at your state or a Discom level on your tools, it can be directly submitted. And eventually it reduces the transition cost for all the stakeholders. So before I go with the next steps, I would request the technical director, Mr. Saji, to just give you a brief again. We did last time also, but what are the steps involved for the complete rooftop solar integration process for your portal with the Spin portal.
Good afternoon to all. I'm Sajid K. Brown from NIC. Actually, you might some of you may be the first time visitors. Others are repeating. So you may be just watch the procedure. All of you must received the documents from us regarding the how to integrate, etc. So just we are going to the procedure. First to go through that documents which you got. Then there are a lot of fields are there. Your application, your portal should have the exactly same parameters of our Spin portal. So mapping of the fields with the Spin, that you have to check it. Then develop, if any missing is there, you have to add that. Then after creating all mandatory fields, then send a message to NIC or rooftop division. They will issue token to. Then test that with that token only you can test the integration. That is the first token is for testing purpose only. And it may be noted that for both subsidized and non-subsidized, there will be only one token. And with that token, you can test. Then after testing, you need to communicate your IP address from where you are going to use and IP address of your portal. And that will be whitelisted in our Spin portal. Then only you can use it. Then after sending that IP address, you can request for the final real token, real-time real data token that we will issue. By this, and then you can test it. And once you tested, then at least test 1 or 2 data, then it means that whatever you are entering is coming directly to Spin portal. And you may be knowing that this is for avoiding repetitive entry in your portal and Spin portal. Once you entered in Spin in your local portal, and by using this web service, the same will be transferred to Spin portal. Now we will move to the question and answer section.
Thank you, sir. So this was, you can say, a refresher or a recalling thing, how the first webinar happened, what are the steps, what is Spin integration. The basic aim of this webinar is to cater all the queries which were shared with us earlier for this integration, and we also had a help document. So I have Vishal with me who will answer the queries which we have already received. So first I will take up the questions which we have already received prior to the webinar, and Mr. Vishal will answer the same with Mr. Saji. And later on, when we are done with the same, we will take up the questions which you are submitting right now on the Q&A section. So after those, I'll try to take up the questions and we'll try to answer all of them until the end of the webinar. So I'll ask Mr. Vishal to come down and I'll take up some questions so that we can go ahead. So we have received a lot of questions, Vishal, and many are related to what we have answered before also. So still, because we have new participants as well, I like to take more of the questions, and later on we can see which are the repetitive questions so that we can put into the revised document. So the first question which has been repeatedly asked to us is, do one needs to integrate web service of each different project sanction received from MNRE? So this question eventually I understand is because today they have a sanction for this year. Maybe next year they will have another sanction, or then they have another sanction. So they will have to integrate the portal again and again, or it is one time integrated. This can cater all the sanctions which have been received over the tenure of the implementation.
Integration is only one time. The integration is only one time. Whenever new sanction is issued from ministry, that will automatically reflect there.
It automatically reflect your web service also. So based on that web service approval web service, you can enter in your PCR parameter, and then you can submit all the necessary parameter in PCR.
Okay, so all the sanctions which MNRE will give to a particular Discom will automatically reflect on Spin and eventually reflect on their portals as well. and they can select those sanctions and they can submit the PCRs accordingly. Okay, so this is a one-time process as Vishal has confirmed. So this is not a repetitive process. You need to integrate your portals for subsidy-based and non-subsidy-based PCRs only once. Second question, sir, we have received repeatedly is that is Aadhaar verification required with UIDAI or it will be done in SPIN portal? So this is a question we have been asked again and again. So
Actually, it will be, if it is necessary, it will be done in SPIN portal. But as of now, we have not received any confirmation from Ministry. Ministry is waiting confirmation from UIDA. So we need to wait some more time. If it is mandatory, then it can be done through SPIN only.
okay, so for now, the PCRs, like what is the integration process? They just need to give if Aadhaar is available or not. And for if they give that particular parameter, then it is available. Later on, NIC will decide that if it will be with the UID verification will be done here or at there.
As per Joint Secretary, this Aadhaar authentication should be done through SPIN only.
Okay,
if it is required.
Okay, if required, the verification of Aadhaar will be done through SPIN portal. The third question, sir, we have received from various stakeholders is, can Discoms provide Aadhaar number if authentication module is not ready or fails with UID at their end? So if they are doing this authentication and if that module is not available or not ready with them, so should they provide Aadhaar number in the PCR or Aadhaar number should not be given?
First thing is we are not storing Aadhaar number.
Okay.
So we cannot take Aadhaar number. We are only accepting status, whether beneficiary has Aadhaar card or not. So if yes, if Discom has collected Aadhaar number, so he can select yes, or based on that yes, in PCR integration, Discom can submit 1. Status flag is 1. If they have no beneficiary, they have not collected beneficiary Aadhaar, they can submit 0. Right now it is mandatory, but we will accept 0 also in this.
Okay, so for now there is no provision to accept Aadhaar numbers in PCRs. The only option which is given, which you all can also see in the web service integration document, which is shared by NIC already, which talks about whether the beneficiary has Aadhaar number or not. So you have to confirm if it is yes, it is there, or it is not. So that is what been asked at this particular time. So yes, we just got a question also, which is also related to. So I would like to take this question right away. That is it mandatory for Discoms to collect Aadhaar number? This is from Aishwarya. So
Discom side.
So Discom side, yes, you have to confirm it if Aadhaar is available or not. Collection is not, MNRE does not need the Aadhaar number. That is what it is. Discom, if it is at their end, but MNRE is not asking for Aadhaar numbers. They just want to confirm whether beneficiary has Aadhaar number or not. Right? Okay.
We have to wait for that order.
Yeah, we have to wait for our order for further notice. For now, at present situation, as Mr. Saji confirmed that we have to confirm if Aadhaar is present or not, yes or no. And for collection of the number, for right now, for verification of Aadhaar, there is no further notice from the ministry and it is still awaited by NIC. So there is another question which we answered in the previous webinar also, that can I add inverter make if it is not available in the web service of the inverter list?
The answer is no. You cannot add inverter make. If you have, if you found there is no inverter, so you can select make other. There was parameter inverter make _ other. There you can enter the inverter name of the inverter make.
Okay, so you cannot submit the inverter make, but you have to select the category as others and then add the name as
Enter the name.
Okay, it is entering the name, right? Okay. So the another question is, how can one confirm if the data through web service is pushed or submitted or not? So if it is coming on testing side, when it is tested, how I understand is when somebody tests the data, is it getting any message?
Yeah.
Or how it confirm?
Whenever you submit a PCR, you will get the response. In response, you will get one status. In status it will show whether it is success if it is success, then it will give also a PCR code. If it is status is failure, then message will become the reason of which parameter is empty or invalid. So based on that status, we can say that it is success or failure.
Okay, okay. And related to the same PCR submission thing, can the PCRs be edited, or in case some cases incorrect data is submitted by anybody by mistake or through error? Can they correct the PCR through the web service itself?
Through web service.
So there's a question which have been asked, like if the PCR is submitted already, so if the PCR is submitted, but later on one Discom or an individual found that some of the data has some error, or by mistake they've entered some error. So will they be able to edit the PCR through the web service, or they will have to raise some request, or how it is?
Is it possible?
Web service possible, but how they send request was the question.
So would you like to check it and then come back on this? Okay, so this is some question they would like to technically check at the back end, if it is possible and how they would like to do it. So we like to, we'll always cover this question in our help document also, but for now this question we'll keep it with NIC and they will come back to us on this. Eventually these are the major questions which I got that time, but I have the document which there are few questions which Vishal would answer. And meanwhile, I would ask all the attendees out here if they have any questions related to the integration in their mind, or they are already facing some issues, they can go to the Q&A section already there on the bottom of your screens, and you can send to us and we will like to answer it over the webinar. And in case we don't have much of the questions, you can still email to us. We'll be sharing the email addresses on the screen, and you can later on send to us so that we can like put that in the help document, right? So just a moment, I'll just switch it to the document which we have for the questions, and yes, I'll just put it on the screen. So yes. So one of the repeated questions we have received is, how can I add an agency if a impaneled agency is not available in the web service of the agency list? So there might be an agency list which is on the PCR, and if they find that installer, that particular installer is not in the list, and that is impaneled and it is already working, and how they should submit the PCR on his name? Is there any process for that?
Yes, there is another web service, Spin Ad Agency, and it is in website in which latest documentation you will find in page number 4. So in documentation we have mentioned through this website, if use of this is list. 1 second. Page number 9. Page number 9 in documentation, you can add agency also. So based on PAN, we are identify whether that agency is duplicate or not. So please don't enter again and again same agency.
Okay, so how I understand is that there might be installers which are working across the country, and they are impaneled with many Discoms as well. So if one Discom has already added an installer which is working, maybe for example in Punjab, and it is already impaneled in Uttar Pradesh also. So for Uttar Pradesh PCR, the installer name will already reflect.
Yeah, it will reflect on anybody, any SNA Discom can use that agency.
Okay, okay. So there might be a case that when you're submitting a PCR, you might not find the installer name in the list under the agency list. So in that case, Vishal is suggesting is there is already a web service provided by NIC on page number 9 of the document, which talks about adding an installer, or you can say a agency, which can be submitted. So if one Discom, for an example, Punjab is already impaneled XYZ company, and they're already working with Punjab. So Uttar Pradesh, the same company is impaneled, so that company name will already reflect in the database. So it will be easier for a creation of database for the vendors. So that service is already available. so as such, we have already answered this question. Is does the entered agency in web service during testing stage reflect in the real data web service, or it is just for testing?
No, both database are separate. So dummy data will never reflect in real our database.
Okay. So yeah, so one of the queries also asked for what is the logic of verifying duplicate consumer number. So I understand consumer numbers are different, so it is
Duplicate
reflected.
consumer number based on the same Discom only we are checking.
Okay.
No, consumer number with other Discom we will not check.
Okay. Okay, so we have a question from Mr. M. Ramakrishna, and he's saying, sir, as per the integration document, the Aadhaar number is not mandatory. So
Aadhaar, we are taking Aadhaar status, not the Aadhaar number.
okay, but we also discussed that we have forgot to mention yes over there. So you can just clarify that yes, it is to be there.
So,
Initially, as of now, you need to enter that whether Aadhaar number is available with the consumer or not. If it is yes, if it is available, then put yes. Otherwise, no. It is in that way. It is mandatory. That field is mandatory.
yeah.
Okay, so the field right now, yes, Mr. Ramakrishna, you are right that it is kept blank, so it is not considered as mandatory, but that can be a typographical error at there. But the one of the fields which talks about if the Aadhaar number is available or not, yes or no, that is particularly required. So you can treat it as mandate, as Mr. Saji said. So we have another question from Mr. Ashish Khanna, and he talks about, just to start, can we test any of the service through any third-party app like Postman?
Yeah, right. Through Postman, you can test your website integration through our using our web service. Postman is just a tool. No? Yes, you can.
Okay, so Mr. Ashish, I think Vishal already answered this thing. Yes, this application Postman can be used to test it, and you can go ahead. And in case you have any question, you can still share with us. We have another question from Mr. Siddharth Ghosh, and he says, submit PCR files. There are some discrepancies in mandatory documents. So I think this question is a bit unclear. Can you please type what are the discrepancies you're talking about, so that we can answer that right away? You can just share it quickly over the chat. We'll take this question. We have another question from Mr. M. Ramakrishna, and he says, is there any web service to modify, delete the agency details? So if agency detail they have entered or it is already entered, are they able to change or modify the agency details from their end, or they will have to ask NIC, and how the procedure is?
Right now, there is no web service to edit or delete agency, but you can send to us through mail. We provision either or through Spin portal directly login. You can edit.
No, edit will come only if you entered. There are n number of agencies are there. You can edit only those agencies which you entered.
Yes, sir.
So we have another question that is anonymous, and it talks about total how many web services from the documents are to be consumed. So there are n number of, I think, 9 to 10 web services which are there.
Yes.
So how many web services do they need to use out of it, or this particular web service they should have to
Based
use?
on their requirement. So total five web service other than PCR. That is agency list, approval list, beneficiary list, Discom list, and make of inverter list. So these 5 lists you can use, and that main thing is PCR web service. So PCR data is based on that web service.
So we have another question from Mr. Siddhartha Ghosh, and he says, as per the document, I think he's mentioning about the integration document, file undertaking underscore DCR. I think this is talking about DCR undertaking. One file is there, and undertaking for the consumer is not mandatory, he's saying. But without those document, web service is throwing error. So he just want to confirm, you can check the document right away.
Latest is that file undertaking DCR is mandatory.
Okay.
But if you not mention in documentation, we will add this.
You can just check it if it is there, because you already have it in hand.
Here I, but in documentation it was not mandatory.
Okay, so you have already, you're correcting this document.
Yes.
Okay, so Vishal is saying that yes, this particular point, yes, it was missed out, I think, earlier,
Yes,
but
sir. And
now it is considered as mandatory, and he's already updating the web service document. So both these files called as file undertaking DCR plus file.
but file undertaking consumer is mandatory only if consumer found duplicate.
Okay, okay,
If consumer found duplicate, then you have to, and this is mandatory. That file is mandatory.
okay. But file undertaking DCR is mandatory, and it is already confirmed by Vishal, right? Okay. We have this question. Yes.
We will check it.
Also, the error message is wrong for particular parameter.
We will check it. This message.
So I think Mr. Siddharth Ghosh, yes, we have noted down this question, and Vishal will check this. What error message is wrong for the particular parameter? He will check it and rectify it as per the problem. we are
For
facing.
Vijay, this agency is stored based on state only, not based on the scope.
Okay, okay. So, Mr. Vijay, as you said, you think that agency is saved based on Discoms. Sir has already clarified, say agencies are not saved based on Discoms. It is saved as per the state. So, there might be multiple Discoms, but it will be saved as a state. So, we have another question from Mr. Maharshi Srimali, and we're talking about, do the agency will be given any unique number for their registration on SPIN portal? How the Discom will come to know the same?
Yes, there is a unique number for each agency.
We call that agency and agency code.
Okay. So her next question to this is, how will Discom come to know? Discom would like to know what is the agency number allotted to this particular agency. So how will they come to know what is agency number? Is it any provision, or it is required, not required?
Not required for them.
Okay.
They are selecting the name only.
Okay.
For internal purpose only, we are using code.
Okay. So sir has confirmed that NIC is using for the internal purpose, but at Discom end only name will suffice the purpose. We have another question from Mr. Simrandeep Singh Nagpal. While uploading PCR file, there is a file undertaking consumer which is mandatory in case of consumer is duplicate. Okay. Please explain what is meant by duplicate consumer. Is it that consumer is claiming subsidy again in such cases of extension of the load? Okay, so
if it is, this duplicate means suppose one consumer installed 5 kilowatt of rooftop in a compound, and with the same consumer number, he's installing another 5 kilowatt in the same compound, maybe in another building. In that case, as far as computer is concerned, this is a duplicate consumer. So, in order to verify, ascertain that it is duplicate, MNRE is collecting one undertaking that they are installing another in the same, with the same consumer number, the same compound. That is the duplicate consumer number.
In documentation, the PCR parameter serial number is 6. That's if that parameter 6 is duplicate corresponding with Discom name, then it is mandatory.
okay, so that is already listed in the web service document, as Vishal said. The 7th web service is on the page number 11. It talks about submit subsidized PCR web service. The 6th row of the table talks about this particular thing, what you are answering. So I think sir has already clarified what the meaning of duplicacy here. Another question is from Mr. Abhishek Sharma. Is any Discom directly punched data on SPIN portal till integration will complete? Okay, so
You can, anybody can, if you have got user ID and password, you can directly enter the data.
So
there is no issue.
Yeah. So Mr. Sharma, I think this is clear from sir side. If your Discom does not have a portal ready for now, or maybe you are in the process of integration of your portal, and you already have your project completed and would like to submit the PCRs, you just need to have your Discoms registered with NIC. So for their basic details required, if your Discom is not registered, you can just drop an email and server will respond you back on the registration process. After the registration is done for your Discom, you will get the credentials and you can log into Spin portal and directly submit the PCRs for now until the process of your integration is being in the process and it gets complete. So this is possible. Okay, so we have another question from Mr. Siddhartha Ghosh, and he talks about submit PCR file. There are some discrepancy in mandatory documents. As per document, file undertaking DCR and file undertaking consumer is not mandatory, but without a document web service. Okay, I think we already took this question and it is a repeated question. So
this portal is applicable for
and we have
subsidy and
Mr. Madhulal J is asking, this portal is applicable for subsidy program only. So
for both subsidized and non-subsidized.
Yes, so this particular Spin portal is applicable for both subsidized and non-subsidized rooftop solar installations which are grid connected. The token which will be issued by NIC is applicable for both PCRs of non-subsidized and subsidized. You will be able to test both PCRs. For the subsidy-based projects, this will cater under the component A of the scheme. And for the non-subsidy based projects, this will cater under the component B of the scheme. So this portal caters both kind of projects. Mr. M. Ramakrishna is asking, can you please share technical support contact number? Okay, so the technical support contact number of NIC, I think, yeah.
011 STD code, then 24361891. I am repeating, 011 is the STD code and 24361891.
And also to all the participants, after this webinar, we'll be updating our help document which we prepared together with NIC, and we'll update it with the questions and we will share with you. That document also has the email address to the technical director and the phone number as well, and we'll also show in the screen, so you can contact anytime for any of the queries. So we have another question from Ms. Ashwarya, and if a Discom is unable to access their Spin account, what is the protocol to be followed?
There is no such protocol. If your user, if you already registered, you can log in with that user ID and password. You are not able to log in means some password problem only.
Okay. So Ms. Aishwarya, in case you are unable to access the account or the Discom is unable to access an account and you face some issue, you can obviously write to the director and he'll be happy to help you.
And there is option for forgot user ID and password, etc. You can by yourself you can reset the password.
Okay, great. So in case
if you have not registered in Spin, then you can send direct email to us or division, rooftop division,
and you will register.
At the end, we will share the email address.
Okay, great. So we'll be sharing the email address and phone number. So in any case you are unable to access the account, you can obviously talk to the NIC team and they'll be happy to help you. Mr. Maharishi Shimali is asking whether there is any change in the envisaged amount of financial assistance from MNRE in case of installation with rooftop only and rooftop plus ground. Plus, please describe any. So I think this is not a technical question related to Spin, but eventually how my understanding is that there is no particularly change. Rooftop and rooftop plus ground is considered as a similar scheme component, and also included in the rooftop solar definition in the operation guidelines. So you may have a look, and it does not have any difference. But still, if you have any specific query on this, you can directly write to the rooftop solar division, maybe Mr. Ajinder Singh or Mr. Hiren Bora, and he'll be happy to answer. So for now, I don't feel there is any difference, and it is also included in the definition of rooftop solar within the operational guidelines. So another question from Mr. Simardeep Singh Nagpal, and he's saying, so in all extension of load cases, we need to get undertaking of consumers, as consumer number will be duplicate in these cases.
Yes, surely.
Okay, so wherever you have duplicacy, yes, as Sir said, you will have to get undertaking. The format of undertaking is already, I think, on there on the Spin portal.
Without login, if you open the solarrooftop.gov.in, there is a help document at the top menu, and there you will find the list of documentation, and inside in that list of documentation, you can download undertaking of consumer.
I think it's a valid question, Mr. Nagpal. If the document or the template of the undertaking is not available, I'll try to add it as a part or an annexure to the help document so that you can have it. So we'll share along with that. He also have a question that do we need to get DCR undertaking from vendor on the manufacturer? Okay, can we get perform of DCR undertaking? Okay, surely we'll.
Format will be this is under process by division.
Okay.
So once it prepared, we will share to you.
Okay. Yes. There will be an undertaking required for sure. As Vishal said, the rooftop solar division at MNRE is finalizing the template, and as we have the template, we will share with all the stakeholders. So, but for the above question of yours, I will be sharing the undertaking of the consumer, which is already available in NIC with the help document. So we have another question with Mr. Swama Reddy, and he's asking in case if there exist multiple services in the same premises, then will they be eligible for CFA? Sir, I think this is an administrative question which NIC and us will not be able to answer. So we'll have to take this up with the rooftop solar division. Mr. Mohammad Ayub is saying, what is the process of creation district officer user ID and password? Mr. Mohammad Ayub, I think this is not a portal to create district officers ID and password. NIC can give you the registered Discom, their login ID and password, which as a whole Discom works as one. So one Discom will get one credentials, and they will be able to submit all the PCRs, subsidy based and non-subsidy based, onto the SPIN portal through that one particular login ID. You will not have different login IDs for district officers. Mr. M. Ramakrishna has a question. Beneficiary underscore category web service for non-subsidized is not working and getting 404 error. So maybe Vishal, you will have to answer this.
404 error is a different. Now 404 error is for non-subsidized.
Okay. Service. Maybe you will have to check this technically.
I checked, I think.
Maybe you can recheck it. We will keep the question on. And
check 404. Maybe 404 is a error, na? URL not found. So maybe you have incorrectly URL you have entered. That is the reason. If other than 404 error come, na, then we can check it. But 404 means you have incorrectly entered the URL.
Okay, so maybe you can check if the URL entered by you, Mr. Krishna, is correct as per Vishal. In case you still feel there is an error, but I will request is that you can drop an email to Mr. Saji with a screenshot of the error, and they will revert you back as soon as possible. So you already have the email address on the screen. You can just take a screenshot of the error and you can share with the NIC so that they can respond you back after checking. So we have another question from Mr. Simardeep Singh Nagpal, who is the competent authority to release CFA, MNRE or Discom. So Mr. Nagpal, this is again an administrative question, but eventually MNRE is the central body which disperses the CFA amount to the Discom, and Discom eventually disperses this amount to the beneficiary. So this is how the role is. Mr. Madhulal J has asked, can SMA and Discom of the same state maintain separate portal integrated with SPIN? So, yes. Okay. So, but sir, there might be a case, now I have a question related to this. There might be a case like in Uttar Pradesh, or there are many states where SMA is working on behalf of Discoms, and Discoms have agreed that they should use SNA's portal for the phase 2. So there might be 5-6 Discoms in a state which would like to use the same particular one portal for the submission. So the token has to be issued for all the 7, or it will be issued only for SMA for this integration?
For all the 7.
Okay, for all the 7, but the testing has to be done for eventually the 7 on the same portal. So this is possible. Okay, so yes, SMA and Discoms can have separate portal also, and if as SMA's portal is to be used by Discoms, they will get the token and they can be integrated.
In fact, all SNAs are already connected to phase 1.
They're already integrated. Yes. Yes. So also one question comes from Mr. Swama Reddy, and when we ask, like, please provide agency PAN number in agency list web service for mapping of impaneled vendors in my database. So is it possible, sir? You can share
Sensitive
this
data
thing.
we cannot-
Agency provide agency PAN numbers in the agency list.
Sensitive data
PAN number. Why it is required? Please provide agency PAN number in agency list.
So he
For
will like to
mapping.
map it, like if for an XYZ company is into your database, and if the same company is there, or there could be like with a small change, there
We
must
are
be many
using
companies.
PAN number, but we cannot provide that PAN number etc. to other third party.
Okay, so
That list it is showing the list of all agencies with address. Some of the fields are hidden.
okay.
That cannot be given.
Okay, so but right, so as per sir, the PAN number of the agency cannot be shared with the other stakeholders. It is with the MNRE. But in case, sir, there are agencies which are to be added, so they will enter the PAN number and it will auto detect the duplicacy, right? So it will not take the number. So yes, so if in case there is a duplicacy, the error will automatically reflect at your end after matching this pin. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think we have covered all the questions I had on the screen. There is no such question which we have missed out. So, but in case, I think we are able to cover all the questions, and it is just 3:40. So we
Is
still
it
have
created
time.
by Discom or by other?
Yes, tell me in case you want
Part
to
of the
take
question.
any more questions there. I think we have covered. So. Yeah, so we have already covered. I think district officers user ID and password that is not available. That has to be created in the state portals. That is not so. So any state or the Discom who already have the portal, they will have to themselves create the district officer user ID password. But MNRE will use only the Discom password. So out of all the Discoms present here, there might be a few Discoms who already do not have they do not have the registered account on SPIN, so they can make a request to the email ID on the screen, and NIC will generate an account for you. We have another question which has come, sir. We got the agency name with the token ID base, then how to get agency code with the state base?
Agency code state with
They got the agency name with the token, so they already have some token and they used it and got the agency name, but they have not got the agency code. So agency code is not being given.
That is displayed in the agency code is displayed.
I think the other question is the same. Mr. Vijay is repeating it from other account. I think we got agency name with the token ID base. Then how to get agency code with the state?
Based on state.
This
Based on
agency,
state.
private
We want
agency
to
is
know all the list of agency and agency code. Right?
Yes, yes.
Based on state. But sir, but that agency is operated in other state also. So we are showing all the list of agencies.
No, they want agency code also.
They want based on state-wise agency list.
That we can provide.
Yes, sir.
With the, you display the code also.
So
that we will provide that agency code with agency.
So you will be providing it on the
separate web service.
Okay, you will prepare a separate web service.
Or otherwise, if they can log into our SPIN portal, from there they can download.
SPIN portal.
You can provide that.
Here,
no, this is a public. After login.
No problem. You can internally decide, but this can be provided. So yes, Mr. Vijay, sir just confirmed that yes, if that is a requirement for you as a particular, and if you need it, maybe I will request you just drop an email separately also, because if that is needed, it can be provided to you eventually. Or if more Discoms would like to have it, then I think they will have to create a web service, which is eventually a process. It will take time, but you can just drop an email about it. to Mr. Saji so that this can be processed as already accepted. So I think, sir, we have covered all the questions and we don't have more questions coming in. We have covered more than 45 questions which have come across. So yes, I think we are done for the day. We are closing it shortly, but no issues with that. So again, coming back to the integration process, I would like to close with the remarks. Yes, because integration of the SPIN portal with the Discom rooftop portals or the implementing agencies rooftop portals is really important and one of the major priorities of the ministry as part of the phase 2 scheme. And if you have any questions or queries which come across to you, your IT team, or the technical assistance program working with you, you can directly email the queries to the email addresses on the screen to Mr. Sajik Abraham, the technical director at NIC and EU India TCP. We like to verify all the queries which come across, and we also try to put all queries into the help document so that all the stakeholders who are working on the integration can get benefit from it. So the conclusion from this webinar would be that we have tried to cater all the questions and give the answers which we were able to. There are a few things which are pending, I think, on which NIC has to come back. So that will be provided. But as I requested, I think from Mr. Vijay, he can drop an email regarding this particular request so that this can be answered. Parallelly, still you have any more questions coming in, we will be taking the questions and trying to answer it separately. I will just take one more question. I think it just came. Sir, there is a question coming in from Mr. Maharishi saying majority of the time when we try to log in into SPIN portal, we are getting error name fatal error 771. Kindly guide what to do. So there is some error they are getting when they try to log in into the SPIN portal.
Can you please send mail to us and screenshot of that?
Okay. So, Mr. Maharishi, I think this is an unknown kind of error being reported, maybe for the first time. So, just with a request that just take a screenshot of that error when you find it and just email it to NIC so that they can have a review on that and rectify in case in future such errors can be avoided. We also have a query. Can we have a brief overview technical document shared by you if we have some time left now? Okay, so we surely have, but it's a lengthy document. I don't think we'll be able to cover it within 10 minutes. But Mr. Abhishek, in case you have specific query to a particular section, you can just drop a text right now, or you can come back on the email to us, and we'll try to have a clarify that particular thing. I don't think we have much time to go through the complete document because we have 2 documents. And half of the document will not be worthy. So yes, right. Okay, Mr. Maharishi, yes, thank you for acknowledgement, and you can just drop an email with a screenshot, and we'll try to sort it out. Okay, great. So I think we are done for the day. We are closing early 10 minutes, but we've tried to cater all the queries which have come across. As I was just confirming, because SPIN is an integration is really important. We will request all the Discom stakeholders who are already present on the webinar that in case your Discom has not requested for the registration on the SPIN portal, you can share the basic details like name and the name of the Discom address. We can share with you. You can just place a request on the email address and we'll share the details which are required for the registration. And we get the account registered so that we can start at least the integration part. We are here to help you out with the integration process. In case you have any questions, clarifications, we are there to help you. We'll be trying to solve that in the upcoming webinar as well. This is the second of the series of webinar. The EU India TCP started with an initiative to reach out to all the Discoms who are facing issues with integration so that we can solve the queries. And the third webinar will also be conducted soon. So we are not yet started it, but maybe most probably in 15-20 days, we'll be conducting the third and the final webinar. And we hope that after the webinar, all the participating attendees will be able to integrate the portals. I think Vishal has something to say, so you can mention.
There was one question asked. So that is PCR delete submitted PCR delete or edit. For that case, if you have finally submitted any PCR for delete purpose or for edit purpose, you have to submit to cancel request to ministry, right? For that you have to log in spin portal. Whatever data you have submitted through integration, it will also reflect in spin portal. So you can log in with your username or password in spin portal, and inside that portal there is a report, submitted report. So in submitted report, you can, whichever you want to edit or delete, you can send a cancel request to ministry. So if ministry is approved, then you can either delete or edit you can do through web service also. So delete you can done through spin portal only. So there is no web service for delete. Edit you can do through web service. Okay.
Okay, and I think a small question from Mr. Milap Pathak, and he's saying please provide the link to download the technical documents. For sure, Mr. Milap, after the webinar, we'll be sharing the FAQs compiled help document, which will also have the link to the download the technical documents. And I think Vishal will update the document with two of the questions which are already raised. And I'm really happy that this webinar is helping out to even modify the the technical integration document. With some queries or things are missed out, it can be clarified and NIC can update the document. So he will update the document, and when we have the updated document, we'll share the link with you, and you can download the updated document with a few mandatory fields which were not mentioned as yes or required, and we will share with you. Right. Okay. So thank you so much, sir, and thank you, Vishal, for joining us. And I think thank you all of you for taking out time for this particular webinar, and I hope it has been helpful and we were able to answer most of the queries which have come across to us. We'd like to take up these questions on the help document and we'll share with you. Thank you so much, and we'll be sharing the upcoming webinar details soon as we have the dates confirmed. Thank you so much.
This editor, sir.